Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Lazy Entrepreneur. We're your hosts, Sam and Emma Priestley.
Hello!
And today we've got a very exciting episode that Emma has been buzzing about. We're going to talk about budgeting. And it's because, for the first time ever, I have started to budget. Emma is not particularly happy about this.
Nope.
But it's kind of been motivated by two things. One of which is that we're in Bali at the moment and we're meeting a lot of people who are doing the whole digital nomad thing. They're starting businesses, they're travelling a lot. And most of them, well maybe not most of them, but a lot of them seem to have absolutely no savings at all.
Yes.
Which is bonkers because they are in really fragile careers. They're starting and stopping loads of different businesses. They're hustling, as they'd call it, and they've got no guaranteed income each month. I can kind of understand if you work a full-time job and you get lulled into this full sense of security that you're going to receive a paycheck every month, and so therefore it's okay to spend all your money. But it's absolutely ludicrous that people living this kind of fragile life aren't saving anything. They're just spending everything.
Yep. It's very hard to save.
And it's hard to save. So I thought it'd be an interesting topic to talk about because of that. And I think it's one of those things where in this sort of digital nomad group, people are, I think, a bit more open about talking about their struggles.
Yes.
Like there's almost a bit of prestige to struggling and having no money and hustling and working hard. And someone told us the other day they've gone broke 4 times in the last year or something like that. There seems to be a sort of like prestige behind that, like it's part of the journey that we're on.
I don't really know why.
No, it's a weird culture, isn't it? It's funny how cultures like that pop up. It's definitely not the culture we had in Tunbridge Wells. It was the opposite there.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to show off how much money they're making.
I guess the point is, once you're already in a cheap place to live, there's less risks around not having very much money because your day-to-day living costs are a lot lower than probably home.
Yeah, that's probably true. The only problem is, and we have seen it before, is people end up getting trapped in somewhere like Indonesia or Thailand where the cost of living is very low and they can't really afford to leave or get home.
Yeah, and I suppose the other thing is that you don't have your support network around you like you would at home, so you probably don't have any friends, spare rooms you can stay in, or parents can give you some food.
Yeah.
And it's pretty strange thing to think that you'd need to ask your parents for money because you've spent it all. Yeah,
especially when you're 35 or however old a lot of these people are.
Yeah.
And like the other thing is there's no safety net here. Like there's job seekers allowance and things back in the UK.
Yeah.
There is some stuff the government puts to stop you hitting rock bottom. If you hit rock bottom in Bali, no one's going to care.
No. And probably no one's going to know.
Yeah. So that's one side that I thought would be quite interesting to talk about and quite interesting to sort of, I suppose, lead by example. Do it ourselves. Do budgeting. Because how can I tell someone about budgeting if I don't do it myself?
Yeah.
It's hard, right?
Really hard.
Really hard. And then secondly, and the more important reason why we're doing this, is that our lifestyle is creeping up and up and up and getting more and more expensive. I've always out-earned my expenses, but I started when I was at university and I was living as a student, and when I started to earn money, I kept spending as a student, and then my kind of expenses have slowly kept up with my peers and maybe just slightly outpaced them. There's this concept I quite like that everybody wants to be just a little bit better than everyone around them.
Yeah.
You want your wedding to be just a little bit better than everyone around you. You don't want to be like miles better. You just want to be a little bit better. And if you're in Tunbridge Wells and you're surrounded by people with fancy cars and vintage wine collections, then it's a lot harder to be just a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then also there's this concept of hedonistic adaptation, that if you have something good, you need to have more of it. Like, you keep needing more in order to get the same level of enjoyment out of things. Dan Bilzerian is a sort of Instagram celebrity. He's always sort of posting pictures of him surrounded by half-naked girls on yachts and machine guns and things like that.
Gross.
Very, very popular. And I listened to an interview with him, and he basically said that he's had everything, and now nothing really gives him joy anymore because there is no next level that he can spend to. Like, everything is just boring. Which is ridiculous. Like, how can he have that life that he's literally got millions of followers because loads of people want that life, and he just finds it bleh. So yeah, and that's what we're experiencing. So one example of this that quite hit home recently was about 3 years ago. We stayed in like the nicest hotel we've ever stayed in, and it was amazing, and we stayed there for a few days, and we've been kind of thinking about it ever since. And then since then and now, we've stayed in quite a lot of nicer hotels, to the point that we came back to that hotel a few weeks ago, and I thought, oh, this is actually quite affordable. At the time when we first went, I was horrified by how much it cost. And then we've gone back, and I'm like, oh, actually, compared to some of the other places we stayed, this is actually not too bad.
Well, part of that is because at the time, when we first booked it, you did think it was about twice the price.
Well, it shows, is I remembered it being, so I think it's about £250 a night, and I remembered it being about £450 a night.
Yeah.
But I only remembered it being £450 a night because that is what my idea of a luxury hotel should cost.
Yes.
Has slowly crept.
Yeah.
And that just seems normal. And so when I heard it's actually £250, I was like, oh, bargain. How ludicrous is that? So I want to kind of counter that. I don't want to just keep needing more and more and more to be sort of the same level of happy. Yeah, so we started a budget. We've got a little app we use called Spendee, where we add everything we spend on it. It's quite good, actually. It's almost been a bit like keeping a diary, because when we go out for a meal or something, we'll put it into the app and then we'll add a picture for it. So you were writing down, trying to, what did we do on Monday? You can open up the little app, have a look. You can see I'm trying to still sell it to Emma.
Well,
she's still not
sold. I have my own diary that doesn't require me to not spend any money, which I'm very happy with.
All right, so to try and convince Emma and to convince everyone else listening, I've come up with 5 reasons why keeping a budget is a really good thing, and we should all do it.
I wish you could see us recording this. You should see the smile on Sam's face right now. You are so happy.
I really am. I'm looking quite smug.
Yes.
So number 1, the best way to never have to work a 9 to 5 again is to keep a budget. It is much easier to save money than it is to earn more. Like, everybody can save money, everyone can budget, but not everyone can earn more money, because you need quite a bit of luck, and you also need some sort of level of skill or competence at something in order to earn more money. So, yeah, if you want to quit your job as soon as possible, then spend less money and save it. We did an episode on financial independence and early retirement, which is quite like a big community in itself. You can Google it. It's like FIRE, F-I-R-E, Financially Independent Retired Early. And their whole philosophy is you don't need to earn loads of money, you just need to not spend a lot.
Yeah.
And that if you save half your salary, you can retire in, 10 years or something like that. And that's what they're doing. There's huge communities of people doing that. And that's because it's not very good advice to say, well, the best way to quit your job is to go in and find a job that pays you £1 million a year and then retire after 2 years.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But it is possible to say, well, maybe you can, have a few less Starbucks each day. Maybe go support your local coffee shop where it's actually cheaper. So yeah, it's easier to save than to earn more money. And also, for every pound or dollar you save, it's actually worth more than an extra pound or dollar earned. Because of taxes, like, if you're in the higher tax rate, you basically have to give half of that dollar away. So you'd have to earn $2 for every dollar you save.
And also you can do something with that savings. So you can invest it, you can...
Exactly, yeah.
Put it in an ISA.
You can put it to work, so it actually earns you more money.
Yeah.
And then when you see the charts of this sort of stuff with compound interest, it doesn't take that long, if you're saving quite a lot, before your income from your investments are outpacing your actual job or salary. And then, perhaps the most obvious thing is that keeping a budget means it gives you insurance for the future. So, for me, insurance is making sure I don't need to get a job. But it could be all sorts of things. If you have a job, it could be insurance against getting fired, losing it. It can be insurance against falling ill and not being able to work. That's a risk for me, I don't have a job that will pay me sick pay. If I suddenly can't work, that's it. If I'm true to the name of this podcast and I'm really lazy and just don't do anything, at least I have a little bit of insurance.
Well, and for a lot of people, it's paying their mortgages, which are not necessarily fixed price.
Mm.
They could really fluctuate, and do you have enough money to be able to pay that?
Yeah, what would happen if your interest rate on your mortgage goes up by 3 to 5%?
Yeah.
A lot of people would be really screwed. So yeah, saving gives you a bit of insurance. So that's number 1. It's the best way to get out of your 9 to 5. Number 2 is that you actually have more fun at the budget end of the world. Emma's giving me a slightly
You can only
unimpressed
get
look.
away with that phrase because we're in Bali and we've been in Thailand.
No, because everywhere has its budget versions. So here we could be in a really expensive 5-star resort. We could be getting taxis everywhere. We could have a personal driver who drives us around.
We could, yeah.
We could have rented a huge villa and then just not left it for the whole time.
Yeah.
But it's just one of the I always try and say, have you ever tried to meet someone or organise a night out or basically have fun at a 5-star hotel that doesn't involve just you? It just doesn't happen. Those people don't want to talk to you. Whereas what about a hostel?
Yeah.
Every hostel you go to, you can go down with, so does anyone want to come out tonight? Or just go and introduce yourself to people. Everyone's up for having a chat. It's also where you have all the adventures at at the lower end. We have the saying that everything happens is either fun or funny. Even if it doesn't work out, it makes a great story to tell later. And what are the best stories you hear about people's travels or day-to-day life? It's often the stuff that's kind of gone a bit wrong and is a bit silly. If everything's perfect, then that never happens. Yeah, it's more fun and it's more challenging, which therefore means it's more rewarding. So, for instance, hunting out the best cheap eats in a place is we enjoy that. We enjoy going to all the street food.
Yeah.
Finding all that kind of stuff. Not just sticking to the really high-end restaurants, not just working our way down the Michelin list. It's finding those secret places.
Yeah, and also people's recommendations tend to be rubbish.
Well, yeah, that's a whole episode in itself. Same with working your way around a city. We got to know Canggu really well, which is this part of Bali we're in, because we got a scooter, so we're having to explore it ourselves and look around. If we're only going to the top-rated places on TripAdvisor and getting a taxi to each one, I think we've definitely had a more rewarding experience. Same with finding somewhere to stay. How we did it is we spent a day going to visit loads of different guest house and villas to try and find the best one to stay at, as opposed to just going on booking.com and booking a 5-star resort.
Yeah, and it's a lot cheaper to go direct.
Miles cheaper, yeah. Even just getting from the airport to your accommodation. In Bangkok, we decided to get public transport from the airport to our hotel. And we basically ended up walking through the red light district. And so this was Emma's first experience of Thailand. We were walking down this street, and all along the street were mostly naked women,
I thought, wow.
shouting at us. We had our little suitcases trolling through.
I thought, wow, this is Bangkok. This is what I had in my head, but didn't think would actually happen.
You didn't think it actually exists. And a few days later I said, what's your favourite thing we've done so far? And I think that's what you said. Is that walk down Soy Cowboy?
Yeah, it was so crazy.
It's just so crazy. And you only get that if you're not... the problem with living at the high end is that you're a bit buffered from everything that's going around you.
Yeah.
All the adventures. Which brings me on to my next one, which is that number 3 is you're much closer to culture if you're at the budget end.
Yeah.
If you go travelling and you stay at the high end, you'll only really meet locals who are the staff at the hotels and the restaurants.
Yeah.
You don't really get to know what life is like. And you only get this kind of
Rose-tinted,
whitewashed idea of the culture. Like, if you talk to a lot of people, some of the most fun they had has been backpacking around the world where they don't have any money, and not having much money has led to more adventures and more fun. Talk to people about, some of their best times. A lot of people say sort of freshers at university, that first university, and a part of that is you've got no money and everyone's in the same boat and you're trying to work it out. You've got this independence, and this is a time where you're probably poorest in your life, but also having some of the most fun and closer to the student culture. Because even at university, there were people who came in with quite a lot of money. Instead of staying in the cheap halls of accommodation with everyone else where you make all the friends, they would rent a house a little bit further away that's quite nice. And then instead of going to the really cheap student dives for food and drink, they would go to the high-end bars. And their experience was like completely different.
Yeah, that reminds me, actually, I had a friend on my course that lived in a flat that her parents owned in Leamington all 3 years. I thought she was crazy.
Yeah. It's ludicrous, isn't it? Like, even though, like, student halls weren't nice. I mean, you were quite a nice one. My one wasn't very nice. But, it's just more fun and closer to culture, closer to that student culture that kind of university is all about. So moving on, number 4, which is basically what I said already, was that using this app and keeping a budget is like keeping a diary. It tells a story of what we've been doing. And it means I don't keep a diary. I've tried to before, and I'm really bad at it. But this means that when Emma says, "Oh, what did we do last Monday?" I can have a look, and I can see the pictures and go, "Oh, yeah, that was really fun." And I quite like a deal. And so I can look back at all the food we've got and be like, wow, that meal was only £11. That was amazing. That was like the best one we had. Whereas otherwise my memory would kind of forget those sort of details.
Yeah.
I'm quite liking that. And number 5, maybe the most important, is that knowing you can control your expenses is empowering in itself. And it's something that even though my businesses are going well and I don't need to budget, basically, it is something that I worry about. It's that insurance thing. Like, what happens if it all disappears? And especially with the lifestyle creep and knowing that my life is just going to get more and more expenses. Like,
if we'd stayed in Tunbridge Wells.
If we stayed in Tunbridge Wells, surrounded by people, trying to keep up with the Joneses, not budgeting. It's something that, like, was worrying me a bit. Because I was earning my most amount of money when I think was 23. And then I decided to quit all my highly profitable stuff. Because I said, life is great. I don't spend that much money. I've earned more than enough to keep me happy for ages. Let's just go and do some fun stuff and start interesting weird businesses. Well, that was fine for however old I was, 24, 25-year-old Sam to say. But then you get to 30-year-old Sam, and 30-year-old Sam is spending 3 times the amount of money 25-year-old Sam was spending. He said, Sam, why did you quit so early? Should have done a little bit more and build up a bit of buffer zone.
Well, no, because you probably would have spent more.
Well, yeah, probably would have spent more. And that's it, is that it's like the trajectory, is that I saw life just getting more and more expensive.
Yeah.
Because, we're still just the 2 of us. We don't have any kids. We're healthy. We don't have any responsibilities. Like, that is going to change at some point, and then life will get more expensive. So knowing that we can keep control of our expenses and that this lifestyle creep doesn't have to happen is quite empowering. I find that quite empowering. Hopefully you will too at some point.
Yeah, I can't agree with that right now.
No.
It's only been about... Has it been about a week? It feels like a lifetime.
I think it's been about 3 weeks.
Really?
Let me have a look. 2 weeks.
Oh, halfway.
It's worth saying that Emma's kind of complaining about nothing, because I don't think her life has really changed at all. We're still eating out 3 times a day, having massages, going to fancy bars, buying the most expensive cocktail on the menu.
Well, actually,
doing everything you've always done.
I would say I've done less. I've definitely not always had the most expensive cocktail. Just
because you're slightly thinking about it a bit more, and you're expecting my reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't had as many massages as I would.
Well, I think that's a good point to leave this episode on. There we go. We're budgeting. I think that people should budget and that saving money is important because of loads of reasons. But I think the main one, especially for people out here in doing the digital nomad thing or trying to build their own business, is that you are in quite a variable career and you don't know what's going to happen. And so having that insurance in place, having those savings is what will give you that longer runway to make it work and stop you having to go back and get a job. Well, thanks for listening. Any feedback? I reckon, do you know what feedback? I think the feedback we're going to get is those people are going to tell me how stupid I am for not budgeting before. The first time I've ever budgeted is when I've been 30.
Well, I think people should send us some encouragement.
Yeah, send us some encouragement. Tell us how great budgeting's been for you. And your wife.
You.
Alright. Well, yeah, thanks for listening. Feedback to hello@sampriestley.com. Please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify or whatever you're listening on. And apart from that, adios.
Bye.